So the hook I've mounted is a Daiichi 1160, the clink hammer hook, and I use these for most of my chironomid patterns. I think they have the right shape, the right coloring in them as well, as far as the base being somewhat bronzy, nickel-y bronze. So there's a bit of reflection that comes off the hook. I try to tie chironomid patterns with a fair bit of translucency, and during my fly tying courses with my students I really stress the importance of thread control. But that also moves into materials such as this stretchy crystal stretch that I use for the bodies of the fly, especially chironomids. And I also use them on perdigon nymphs. They work very well on their bodies as well, and they have a great color assortment. So we'll start with just doing a standard threading procedure by keeping the material relatively tight. So this is how we would start virtually most flies. And I'll just wrap down to what would be the end of the thorax. And then from here, just with touching turns, keeping the material tight and stretched out, we just advance to the bend of the hook. Now the other thing I do with these when I fish them, I use them on a team of 3. On long casts with 20-foot leaders, and I have them 3 to 5 feet apart. The point fly at the end of the leader may have a brass bead on the head just to aid in sinking, so that the whole team will actually sink to a vertical position. And I fish the full water column all the way down at 3 different interval depths, by having the 3 different flies. This is what I prefer to do as opposed to hanging a chironomid from an indicator or a bobber of some type. So we did a half hitch at the end there after we did our touching turns. This keeps everything that's been stretched and tight in place. Now we can loose the material off and then just wrap the material forward equally with open turns, creating a rib. And then at the thorax, we'll drop in another half hitch. And that's secured all the material, at the half hitch at the point in the back here and the half hitch here at the front. It secured all the material and it keeps it from moving around. Now we'll just build the thorax. By again stretching out the material, doing touching turns. Our second layer on the thorax. This is our third, returning here again. And then our fourth layer, we'll just come partially up 2 turns. We'll put either a little saliva or a little bit of chapstick as a lubricant on this material, which will allow it to slide when we're doing our whip finish. And we'll just do a 3 or 4 turn whip finish, whatever looks about right to finish building that thorax. Keep your material fairly tight again. Stretch it out. And I think 4 turns there will suffice. And then just pull in the material, close it in, pull it nice and tight. Snip off the excess. So you can already see that we have a reasonable thorax built up. So the body, the ribbing, to show the segmentation. There is some translucency to this. Once we actually put the UV resin in place, it'll show a little bit more translucency. So with UV resin, whatever product you choose, I'll just put a drop at the base, allow it to spiral down a little bit. And then just use a dubbing needle, or in this case called an art picker, and just move it around nicely. Make sure it's fairly even all the way around, both sides. Looks like we'll need a little bit more. Another drop, put this one at the head. into place. So, as you can see, it's changed the color somewhat, but it's given it a bit of translucency. Just add a little bit more. Just work it around. Just take your time. No rush. And then we'll throw the UV torch on it. 20 seconds or so. We're almost done. You'll notice that some of these UV resins will remain a little tacky. And the easiest way to clean that up is I've taken a small bottle and put some rubbing alcohol in it. And I just clean the fly with that. And that'll remove any tackiness from that UV resin if it does actually leave a tack behind. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this pattern. It is simple and it does catch fish.